Yeah. All right, Justin, I got to jump off. It turns out this meeting I thought was at 7 is at 6:30. I'll call you when it's done and continue this. All right, bye.
Good evening, brother.
Hello.
Hi, brother Tim.
Where are you these days?
I am, good question, but I am in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay, I know a lot of times you're visiting Chelsea
And other places, but yeah, do you know I'm coming your way?
Oh, are you? Yeah, I heard something about later this summer, right? As the summer
Coming.
wears down.
June, I think it's June 6th, I'll see you.
Okay, great.
Hi, Brother Tim.
Hey, how are you doing? I like your glasses.
Oh, thank you, brother. I'm well. How about yourself? How's Renee?
Good, real good. We're getting ready to go back east on Saturday for a couple of weeks, so we're looking forward to that.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah, get to see a lot of people. And
Sure.
You'll be back, will you be back June 6th in Mesa?
we will actually. We get
Okay.
back the 5th.
Oh, wow,
Right.
okay.
So short, right. So we'll look forward to that very much.
Detroit, Michigan, is that where you're heading?
Well, we're going to go to Detroit. We're going to go up to Mackinac Island
nice.
and
Oh,
Traverse City. And we're also going to Ohio, visit Renee's relatives. We'll spend most of the time in the Detroit area, just kind of catching up with some people. You know.
Sure.
There's so many people back there.
that sounds fantastic. I love Mackinac, Traverse City. And we haven't been there in a long time.
Oh, it's been forever for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you two in the same place or in different
We're in the same
locations?
place, different rooms because our house is empty. And so there's like, we have 2 chairs, one in one room, one.
We have no furniture.
So, yeah, we're in the same.
Are you guys moving?
The house has been sold and the furniture it's almost, none of it's here. We are selling our house, but we are not moving.
It's like, it's very complicated, but Joe will make it simple. Go ahead, Joe.
For now, we're gonna stay at long-term stays here or apartments, but as you just said, we're spending a lot of time in Birmingham and Florida also, but this is still our residence.
Yes.
Hi, Mike.
Huh. Mike is writing me somehow he's not on. Let's see here. Okay, he is now.
Sister Vanessa, this is the first time I've
Yes.
seen you. I
Yeah.
don't want to start on such a sad note, but I just want you to know I've been thinking about you a lot. And our prayers are with you. I'm
Your family.
so sorry for your loss.
It's
There's no words.
it's quite a shock.
I would imagine.
Thank God, we're doing okay. Thank the Lord. Feeling the prayers of the saints.
We
I
love
hope
Just
so.
it's unbelievable to me.
I can't fathom. Such a
Yeah.
lively and full of life man that,
Right?
and it just happened
Yeah.
so quickly and
Yeah.
I'm just sorry.
unexpected. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. Thank you. hitting Pete pretty hard. Because he and Mike used to go out quite often, either for breakfast or for lunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How's Valerie?
as I've said before, if I'm crying, she's crying. If I'm smiling, she's smiling. You know, she's very sensitive to that.
She picks up on your cues, you know? Yeah.
Right. Right. She was in the household with Mike and Jan for the past 4 months, and especially while they were very ill. She was still in the house because my other brother was sick as well, his household. But she didn't catch anything. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank God.
She
for that.
didn't, it is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, David. Good to see you. So we're waiting for the other trustees to join us.
Yeah, I'm texting both of them right now. We did hear from Elaine, and evidently she can't join us. So
And,
I just texted Ann. I'm texting JD now. They did say that they could make it, so I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay, I texted both of them. And hopefully we get at least one of them.
Yes.
Otherwise, we won't even have a quorum.
Right, right. We need a majority here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so JD said he's going to join us. Good.
Very good.
So we should be at least getting 3. Yeah, Vanessa, maybe you might want to try calling Ann. I did text her, but I haven't.
I'll have to find my phone. I don't know where it's at.
Who are the trustees right now, Clary?
Oh, good. So it's JD Allen, Aunt Vanessa, Ann Calabrese, your mother, you, and that's it. And I think that Michael will be joining us.
Wendy said she'd join us.
So
Good.
Sorry I'm late.
she might be a little late getting on. Yeah. So,
I see. JD has joined us.
yeah, right. And Vanessa was gonna try calling Ann. I did text her, but haven't heard back. So we'll see what's happening. Well, we had a nice day today. It got a little overcast, which we needed.
It's been,
Ann can't join us. I just got a text from her. Okay, but we can still go ahead.
yes.
I'll let Vanessa know. Vanessa,
Yeah.
I heard from Ann. Oh. She can't join us. So if you can come back in, we'll. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead. All right. Well, I am really glad that at least we could be on tonight. And we have some things that we can try to address this evening, and just do the best we can with who we have. Some exciting things happening, and we're making some progress. So, but we'll get into that. But we wanted to start with prayer. So, Tim, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Sure. Dear righteous and dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you today, Lord, with a common desire that we might further the gospel and bring it to the Navajo Reservation, Lord, and support our members up there and even the community. And I pray that you would bless us now as we transact our business, Lord, that we might truly have your spirit to guide us and direct us and even reveal your ways to us, Lord, for there's so many things that we don't know on our own what we should be doing. So many obstacles, Lord, that you can clear the way. And I pray that you would open up the right doors and close the wrong ones and guide us tonight in all that transpires, that it would be for your honor and glory. We ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Well, the first order of business is to elect a board chair. We weren't able to do that before. So we're gonna do that first. And we do have one officer, and that's my wife. And you are the secretary, right?
Donna is.
Oh, Donna is, and she's not on. Okay. That's right, you were the secretary. Okay. So,
I was acting chair, but not really.
yeah, you were acting chair, right? So,
Hey, Brother Larry,
yes,
it's Brother Mike. I'm sorry, you can't see me, but I just looked at the guidelines to verify. And it says you need 4 elected trustees to conduct a board meeting. That's your quorum. It's not 3. So I don't think technically we have a quorum at the moment, do we?
you're right.
We don't have 4, we only have 3.
Right.
It says a minimum of 4 elected trustees must be present to conduct a board meeting. Only one, we probably ran afoul of this one. Only one appointed trustee may be used to fill the quorum. I think that means somebody filling in for somebody else, i.e. not elected. So I don't know how to get around that. Does anybody know? Like, can we still say we want to have a board? Can you get around that?
Yeah, I
rule?
think we can get around that, I think. You said one person can act for somebody who's not here?
No, like one person can be appointed. In other words, if you're filling a vacancy, one of the 4 could be an appointed trustee that filled the vacancy. Otherwise,
Not for that night.
they weren't elected. They're filling in somebody else's
For the
term.
rest
That person,
of that term.
right.
Yeah.
So you can
Not
have
just
one of the 4 could
for the
be
evening.
appointed, 3 have to be elected. Sorry, Joe?
Yeah, you don't mean we can do it for one meeting tonight. You mean that someone is fulfilling somebody's term for like the rest of the year or the next 2 years or something, or till the
Yeah.
next election, right?
I mean,
So,
I know, Tim, if you want to, I can't make a recommendation, so.
Is
I have
there
an
a
idea.
provision, is there a provision for acting by proxy?
I'm wondering if we could, if we have the meeting and they run it by the other trustees when they have time, is that okay? Like, none of the votes count, but they could have their votes later, but we could have the meeting.
As a practical matter, I think that's what we should do. We just.
Yeah, okay, good.
Otherwise,
That's what I'm thinking.
right?
this won't be official until others.
Until there's a quorum, so the trustees will have to meet separately but I find it hard to believe what gets discussed today won't get verified.
Right.
Well,
How's
and
that?
really, I mean, that applies, I think, mostly to official votes that are going to bind the branch. I mean, any group of people can get together and talk about branch business to the extent they're just talking about it. It's when we come to official votes. And if we need to, we can have a meeting on a separate time and ratify everything that gets decided here.
There you go. Yeah, like if you want to pick a chairman, a secretary, and a treasurer, say, that really the chairman and the secretary are the two most important. You can do that tonight and vote, just verify it with the other two members. That's all. That would be a vote of the trustees that you would want the quorum for. The other, I don't know what else you're voting on today, but I thought we were picking officers today.
That was.
So that was one purpose. Well, I mean, you could do it and be done and get through the rest of the business. Just go to the other two trustees and say, this is what we did. How do you guys vote? Just get their votes. And then we move on and then just ratify it. Does that work? Will that work? Okay. So technically, David, if you're voted the chairman, you just need the other two people to put in their 2 cents, make their votes count.
Well, the other two are Ann and Mom, and that might be close.
Well, I know stay away from politics. I'm just sticking to the practical matters.
Well, the position of the chairperson has been hotly contested. There's been a very heated campaign to solicit votes, but we could still go ahead. Oh,
But again, I think I know that a lot of money has been spent on the campaign, but probably millions of dollars on this campaign. But
Dude, I will make cash payments to every one of you.
yes.
What's it going to take, Joe? What's it going to take?
Let me say this. I concur with the idea that we proceed this evening and try to discuss as many things and even just vote on, at least the three people are here, vote on who they would like to see the chair be. But again, I totally agree. It needs to be ratified later when when at least 4 members are there. So nothing is official tonight, but I think we're together. Let's get some work done. And my guess is the other two will go along with it. Or if they don't, then we're back. Then we'll go back and discuss everything again. So does that sound reasonable? Does everyone agree with that? I think that's what I've been hearing.
Oh yeah, Mike Pepe votes yes.
Okay. So JD, are you okay with that? Because we haven't heard. Are you okay if we try to pick at least for tonight, a chairperson to run the meeting?
I'm good with that.
Okay. So one of the 3 of you needs to nominate a potential chairperson and a potential secretary. That won't be official until others join this group, or at least 4th person joins the group at some later date. Any nominees? Any nominees for
I
chairperson?
can nominate David as chairman. I vote to make him chairman.
I'll hear a second.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations?
And are there any other
Whose side are
nominations?
you on, Mike?
Yeah.
What was that?
Okay. Was
I
that
love you, brother
seconded?
David.
That was seconded by Sister Vanessa? Yes, Sister
Yes.
Vanessa, you not, okay. Any other nominations? Okay. Brother David, you are, without a vote even necessary, you are temporarily the chairperson of this committee, okay?
I vow
Hopefully
to
you'll-
wield my newfound power arbitrarily and capriciously.
Okay, at least temporarily, all right. Secretary, any nominations for secretary?
Okay, so Donna Dante has been our secretary. She's not actually a member of the board. Can we continue to do that, or what do we need to do?
Brother Mike or Brother Tim, can the secretary be a non-member of the trustees?
No.
No,
I thought she was the branch secretary.
she,
Leanne Allen is.
yeah,
Oh,
she's
okay.
not. She's not.
Is Don a
No, I
member of our
mean-
branch?
No. She's not a member of the branch.
The trust, out of the 5 trustees, one of them needs to be a secretary, because when you sign most of the documents, it's usually the presiding elder, chairperson, and secretary.
Anybody,
really
anybody can keep minutes and submit the minutes to the secretary for approval.
Yes.
It does not
That-
have, you
that
do
is
not have to
correct.
keep minutes as secretary. You have to
Yes.
approve them and submit them to the chair. And you have to sign certain things, but if you want to delegate the job of keeping minutes to somebody else, you can do that. So we can have a
agree.
secretary and still have Sister Donna keep minutes and then submit the minutes to the secretary.
Yes. That makes perfect sense to me. So we need a figurehead possibly. Okay.
I
Ex
live for your
officio.
approval, Joe. When I say anything,
Well,
I
it's
watch to see if you're nodding.
Okay, well, I am. So at least to sign papers, could we get some nominee for that office? But Donna Dante could actually take the minutes in future meetings.
I nominate my mother. I think mom will do it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all right. So those offices are now filled, at least for this evening, all right? So Brother David, as the temporary, at least temporary chairperson, the meeting is yours to take over and discuss all the matters that were on the agenda.
Okay. All right, let's start with my biggest problem, and that is I don't think I have a copy of the agenda.
Shower.
Was that
Shower's
emailed
next.
out today? The agenda?
Yes, yes.
Let me.
Yes, yes.
Let's see. Oh, I got it. All right, I got it. All right, first item on the agenda, construction projects, shower edition. I'll ask the presiding elder if he can give us an update on the shower edition.
Yes, the construction work on the shower is almost complete, and the plumbing is almost complete. All we need to do is schedule in the final work on the plumbing.
I'm sorry, Uncle. I'm gonna stop you here. It seems to me that we have a temporary problem, which is neither Donna nor my mother are on this call, and somebody should take minutes of this meeting. So before we get a report, I'm going to ask if anybody would volunteer just to keep notes on what's discussed at this meeting. Brother Joe, you're going to do that? Oh, God bless you.
Yeah, I was already doing it. I realized we had the problem. I'm doing it. Yes.
Oh, God bless you. What a good soul you have. I don't care what people say about you.
I told you not to tell
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
I think when you peel through all the criticisms, and it's basically a decent person at heart. Go ahead, Uncle
You
Larry.
go that deep.
Okay, so we, at this point, all we need to do is schedule in the final work, and just as a kind of a sidebar here, I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country, but here it is extremely difficult to find workers. And the reason why I mention that is because the plumbing company, plumbing contractor is swamped. This could have been done a long time ago, but he's really understaffed. Now, we finally were able to get someone to do the drywall and the enclosure of the shower, the construction part. And the total, as far as the projected cost of the work, is going to come to about $1,450 pretty close to $1,500, which is more than what we had anticipated. And that's the other thing, is that we got caught up in a huge inflationary spiral. So between the inflation and the labor shortage, we're having a tough time, and we probably will continue to do so. At any rate, I should hear back soon from the plumber, and once they schedule it in, I think they'll be able to complete it in one day. And the Murphy beds, I think you already know that those have been assembled and they're ready. All they need is, we need to purchase the bedding. And we will be doing that.
So I'm sorry, do we have an estimated time on the plumbing?
No, because they can't even give me an estimated time when they're going to schedule it. They're so swamped. They're going to try and fit it in to their schedule. But it could be by the end of the week. I assume it'll be by the end of the week. They've done good work. I'm impressed with the company. So it's just a matter of getting it scheduled.
That's a question. Brother Larry, so the cost of the project has gone up. Do you know approximately now how much the entire project has cost or will cost when all is said and done?
Yeah, it's going to come to around $1,500
No, or $15,000
The whole,
for the shower. 15,000. Excuse me, 15,000.
So that
That's what I.
so earlier when you said 1450, you meant 14,500?
That's what I meant to say.
Well, you're not kidding
That's gotta-
inflation. We inflated by about 100% in about 10 minutes.
I know. Yeah, I was checking to see if you guys were paying attention.
I wasn't sure if you meant just the drywall was 1,400. That's what threw me there. So, okay, good. That's why I asked. All right.
How much did we originally estimate, Uncle Larry? How much over budget are we?
I know that we were able to get $15,000 in projected funding.
we've only received 10.
15,000, 5,000 from the NEOC, 5,000 from the General Church, 5,000 projected from the region, but that has not been approved. Now, did we get the 5,000 from the General Church? I didn't think we got that. Just from the NEOC, right?
But the original
Yes, I
bid
got-
was around 7,000, wasn't it?
I think that's right, Tim. I think it's doubled.
That's the question that David's asking. I think the original bid was about half of where we're
Yeah.
at.
No. The bid for the shower addition, for the plumbing part, was between 4,500 and 5,500. When they did, now that's just for the plumbing. When they did the drilling part to get to the drain, they had to go through a lot of concrete, and that shot it up. In fact, it may cost more than the 5,500 just for that. Now, that did not include the purchase of the vanity, the purchase of the fixtures, or the shower enclosure, or any of that. That did not include the sheetrock work. And we had to do some reconstruction in order to fit in the shower enclosure because it didn't fit all the way across the width of the room. And so we had to put in a kind of a wall. a facing wall there in order to have something to put the enclosure up against. So there was a fair amount of reconstruction that had to be done. And so when I quoted the 15,000, that included the shower addition, all the construction, all the purchase of the plumbing and the enclosure and stuff, and the Murphy bed and the mattresses and the installation. It cost us some money to install and assemble the Murphy bed. So, I mean, it was a lot of work.
Well, the Murphy bed was like $5,000, just those, right?
Yes,
Right.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little better.
yes.
So we're talking about all of that, everything that I just mentioned.
Right.
I thought we had received both, 2 5,000, but I'm not sure. I know we didn't receive the last one.
The reason, the region has not had a chance to approve it. They'll try to do so in July.
Okay. All right.
Can you check into that?
So, and I think you just said this, and I'm sorry, but I want to make sure I'm on the same page. The 15,000 is all of that, including the Murphy beds.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, the second item, are we done on that? Can we move on?
This is Mike, brother Mike. Can I ask one question? And maybe Tim, though. The plumbing work and everything that, that was we got that inspected and we're good, or
No,
does that need to be inspected?
I don't think so. We did this without a permit. That was if we said we're putting in a shower, they would have made us do it ADA, and it would have just turned into a much bigger project. I guarantee it.
We are in a jurisdictional black hole.
Well,
It is very
really not.
questionable whether we even need permits where we are.
Is it really? Because
Yes, no, it is. No, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Because we're within the boundaries of the Navajo Nation. And you're not required to get a permit on the Navajo Nation.
Really?
Yeah, the Navajo Nation doesn't have a permit system.
I can attest to that.
Maybe they should, but they don't.
All right. I just wanted to check if we have, we don't end up in a situation where we can't sell the building or there's work because we didn't have all our inspections, but you're saying we don't need it.
No,
Sorry, brother.
No.
not for that.
Okay,
No, we're fine with that.
perfect.
I hate to open up this can of worms though, because this is the first time I've heard that. So have there ever been permits for anything, or has it always been the same thinking that you're technically on the Navajo Nation, so you don't need permits? Has
We-
anything ever been permitted before?
We got a permit when we originally built the building in 1984. We did get a building permit. And we will be getting a permit, I assume, when we build the apartment. When I built my garage, I got a permit to do that.
And we've been working with engineers towards submitting to the state so that we would have a permit. And we have spoken with an inspector that's out of Gallup that works for the state, that we could, and that's what we're working towards right now. We only need to have one seal on the drawings, and that's going to be the structural engineer. I'm not registered in New Mexico, but the way things are right now, we should be able to utilize his seal to get the permit. Having said that, it's a terrible time to put things out to bid. It's absolutely, there is just like this confluence of inflation, as Larry mentioned, shortage of labor and demand all coming together. And all of my contractors are going nuts trying to get stuff done. And pricing, we're just really struggling because what used to be the cheap stuff like wood is so expensive that we're actually looking at masonry and steel instead because but steel's bad too. Masonry's not too bad right now, but it is a not a good bid climate. You know, the other thing that we do want to do is the state of New Mexico is talking about going to a more stringent code in July. So I want to get the drawings in before then, so that we get under the get that on the clock, because I don't want to have to meet the requirements of a more stringent code. So I'm trying to get our drawings done as quickly as I can so we can submit and start that process. And then whether or not we start right away building is another, you know, that's a separate issue, because we do have a period of time before we have to start the building after we get our permit.
Can the temporary secretary mention, I saw Sister Dante on, could she take over the secretarial duties?
Yes,
Okay, I thank you.
I have pen in hand and I'm
Okay.
ready to go. I
Awesome.
apologize. I was on an important call, so. Thank
No
you.
apologies necessary.
Okay. So is that all we need to talk about the apartment too? Or is there more to talk about the apartment? Because that's the second item on the agenda.
I would love to hear an update from Brother Tim, what he knows about how far along we are. 'Cause I'm not sure anymore.
So we have the structural engineer is almost complete. The mechanical engineer is almost done. I'm hoping that we can get something in the next week or so from the electrical engineer. I'm working on the specifications right now. One of the things that I'm looking at is, I guess we're going to bid this out. I'm not sure if, you know, what our procurement method is going to be for contracting it. As Larry said, it's not that easy to just say, hey, contractors, I've got an 800 square foot addition, give me a bid. So that's going to be our next challenge, is figuring out how to get bids and get competitive pricing. You know, we're doing the documents with the idea that we will have specifications, we will have very clear idea of what we're building towards, you know, more so than the shower, because the shower had some unknowns, like somebody poured the pipe in the foundation itself, which is a challenge. But we're wrapping that up, and there's going to be some things like finishes and things like that I guess we're just going to put a placeholder in for right now. But I think that what we want to do is get in for permit and just keep it generic on the finishes for now, and just get something that's going to be a permit that we can put out to bid after we get our permit. Now the other thing is, of course, you've got weather up there, that if you're going to start, ideally you put your foundations in when the ground's not frozen and things like that. But that's another discussion as far as timing as when they actually build. So, but that's the question, you know, when do we build? How do we put it out for bids? You know, those are going to be some challenges. I don't have the answer on those. I'm like I said, I'm working on getting a permit and getting drawings that can be bid, but it may be a challenge to get people to bid it for the same reason they build stuff without permits up there.
And Brother David, I'm sorry to have so many comments, but because you weren't in some of these earlier conversations. Earlier, we had individuals who potentially were going to come out and donate their labor. Have we heard any news about anyone still being willing to come out there? Go to San Benito? Anyone
No,
know of anything?
Okay.
I haven't heard anything. Bob Niccolo told me that he was going to contact Brother Richard Honorado from Maine, but he hadn't done it as of the last time I talked to him, which was last week. So we don't know, whether whether he can do it or not.
I mean, we're not in a position to really talk about builders until we get the plans approved. Are we?
I think that's not a bad idea to wait until we have an approved set of plans. Then you know what you got, they're
Is that-
approved.
I've got a builder, a commercial builder here in Gallup that's a buddy, and I don't mind talking with him and seeing what he'll do. He did the build outs of my law firm and didn't wait. I was broke at the time, waited for payment for like 3 years. He was a really good dude. I think he'd be willing to help us out, but I don't want to talk really with anybody until the plans are approved because we really can't give them a time frame to even look at.
Right, yeah, I think you're right. You want to have something, you say, you could start tomorrow if you want.
Right.
We've got a permit in hand.
Or
And not
next week, or I mean, yeah, right. I
something.
think I don't want to put the cart before the horse.
But we do want to get in for permit before July, because I believe that's when the state's going to adopt a new code.
Sounds like that's priority number one right now.
But we want to get this wrapped up and get it in.
Okay, anything else on the apartment before we move on? The next item is the shed.
I can give you an update on that. At this point, because we've been so involved with the apartment, with the shower addition, nothing has been done about the shed.
We did have prices.
We did get some pricing, and that was all. Now, because of the fact that it's so hard to find people to do construction work, I think we almost certainly would want to buy a shed and have it installed. There are 2 companies in the area that we can get a shed from. One is Home Depot, and there's a company in Farmington that actually builds sheds. They're highly rated company. They're a Christian-owned company. And I did speak to the owner. And we could go ahead and buy it. We could buy a shed. We have the funding to do it. And we need one. I just haven't had time to, that's something I'm going to need help with. The other thing about that I need help with is the location. Now, I'm assuming that we're going to put it on the west side of where the kitchen hallway is.
Where
And-
the concrete is.
There's concrete there, and it would be in between the door, that service entrance on the west side, and there's a kitchen window. And we do have room there for it. But I do have a question, and this is something that someone who's more knowledgeable about construction can help me with, and that is regarding the orientation of the shed, specifically the roof. If it's going to be a pitched roof, would we have the ridge going east-west, which I'm assuming, or north-south, which I would think would be a problem because we'd have water running toward where the building is.
Could you have a single side and slope it to the west?
Well, there is, there is single slope that we could possibly get.
Then it would push it away from the building.
All right.
Right.
How big is the shed? Like dimensions?
By 12.
Well,
Sorry, sister.
they're varied. I mean, it can be 8 by 12, 10 by 12, 10 by 14. We can't go any longer than 14 because it won't fit in between, you know, the
Mhm.
door and the kitchen window.
How big is?
So maybe,
I was just thinking because of the slab itself, but I guess you can add more concrete if that's what, you know, is decided.
Right.
but you already have a foundation? Oh, I'm sorry. You already have a foundation?
It's just a slab. That's it. There
Now
is
you
a
guys can
slab
see me.
there.
Hi. Okay. You gonna have to run electrical to it?
Yeah. There's electricity right there because it's right next to the building. But yeah, it would be nice to, you know, to have that.
And again, can I, Brother Larry or Sister Vanessa, can I ask you a quick question about, just procedural question? The money for this was approved and the branch voted on this
Yes.
2 years ago or more, isn't that correct? This is not a new item, it's just never been implemented or executed. Is that correct?
It's 4 years ago.
4 years ago, okay. Because just in case the general church just want to ask, I just want to make sure that this money doesn't need a branch vote. It already was voted on a long time ago.
Do you remember how much was approved? Brother?
The
Sister?
We have about 6,800 in there. It was from the Sarah Watson Memorial Fund, and people donated to that and kept on donating to enough to have the funds. There was a quote at one time around $7,000 for them to add on to the building in another location. But we stopped donating to that fund because we thought we had enough.
But the shed discussion was a different one, right? The branch approved just having a shed, not an addition. I just want to make sure if anyone asks us about this, that we can say this was approved years ago.
They approve both. Either way, whatever is the most feasible. Originally, we were going to go with an addition, but that's not really going to be feasible now.
Is this just like the stored tables and that type of stuff? Equipment for the church?
Yeah, right now we have one of our Sunday school rooms.
Yeah.
Is being used as a storage room, and it's completely unusable, and we've run out of room even in there. So we're gonna have a we're planning to have a parking lot sale, but yeah, we need storage room.
But the amount, again, just so in case we're asked about this, which we might be, the amount of money you're talking about spending now for just the shed, we're talking about 1,000, 2,000. We're not talking about 5 or 7 or anything like that, correct? I know there's different sizes, but if you go to Home Depot and buy a shed, like what's the most you're going to spend?
For them to install it, probably about 4,000.
4,000. Okay.
Yeah.
The size shed, it's probably going to be 4 or 5.
Okay.
Do you remember, Sister Vanessa, how much money was approved to spend by the branch?
Whatever was collected into that fund.
Okay.
Was going toward that. There was no budget for it. So several people just donated to that fund until we thought there would be enough.
So I've got a couple questions. One, how much land do we have on the west side before we hit the property boundary?
Oh, we have a lot. We would hit the power pole before we even get close to the property boundary.
Okay, I had always thought we were close to the property boundary, so I'm wrong about that?
What we're close to is the ditch, the berm that contains the ditch. You know, that we definitely want to stay away from that because we want to have room to divert the water west of the building and around the building.
Got it.
Because
Yeah,
you know what's happened in the
Right.
past.
We've had flood problems in the past. Second question, Uncle Larry, is really the only thing that's holding this up is that you need someone to just kind of take the bull by the horns and you know, reach out to these folks, get some prices, bring it back to this group and pick one?
Well, I'd like to have somebody to work with. I just,
I'll work with you on this.
it's not just a matter of picking one out, but it's also going to be making sure that we have the proper foundation for it
I got you.
and orientation, and that we agree on where the door is going to be and the orientation, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't want to be making decisions myself.
I'll
It's
work-
important to know how wide the door would be, because you might have to put something quite large in there, so you don't want a single door. And you also need to make sure the floor is very solid and that the ceiling can easily handle people walking in there.
Yeah, the current slab on the drawing that Vanessa gave me is only 8 feet wide by a little bit more than 10 feet. So that's not a real big shed. So you might end up doing some concrete work as well.
Okay.
Or if they have
That-
different support for the
Right.
floor.
Right.
All right. I'll after the meeting, Uncle Larry, I'll set up a time to talk with you, and we can kind of make a to-do list of what we need to do on this so that we can, you know, make a little progress without putting too much burden on this on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have anything on the shed before we move on? Nope. Okay. Video conferencing system.
We have the funding for that now. And no progress has been made that I know of, except that Micah Smith gave us some suggestions for equipment. And that's as far as we've gotten now. You know, you're aware of some of this, David, that there was some issue as to whether we would have sufficient bandwidth. I'm convinced that we do, because we're on Zoom here, and the bandwidth there is even better than it is here.
For some reasons that I can't figure out, but I'm just glad. Maybe it's the Holy Spirit. The Wi-Fi at the church has gotten much better.
Amen.
I think good Wi-Fi is a gift of the Spirit. It used to be that you couldn't even have a stable signal of just like a simple data download. Forget video or audio or anything like that. You would just lose the signal and not get it back for another half hour. For whatever reason, it's much better. Much better. I did call Frontier. I'm not convinced we can get any better than what we got, but I agree with Uncle Larry. I think what we've got is probably sufficient. I would like to throw out a thought, because I've been thinking a lot about this, and I have somewhat of a proposal. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but I think it would make a significant contribution to our mission here. I had a conversation with my sister, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. She mentioned, and I don't know whether this was a direct conversation she had or she talked with somebody else, but that Nancy Wanika was saying that if if we had more in Navajo, that we would probably have more people come, because they have a lot of older Navajo folks that they deal with, and a lot of our services in English. So people who only speak Navajo, it's kind of inaccessible. I am proposing that we get a system that can do two things. One is to broadcast out, but a second is to have a translator available who can speak into a microphone as the service is going on, and Navajo speakers can put headphones on and can listen to the service in Navajo. This is being done right now in some of our Spanish speaking branches. And the technology is easily there. You basically need these shortwave headphones that they've got, and a microphone, and somebody's willing to do it. I don't think we'll have too much trouble finding somebody who's willing to do it. So there's a lot of people who can do it, and I've got some ideas. But what I would like to do is look into a system that would allow us to broadcast out. And then what I would like, what it would allow us to do is not just broadcast out, but to tell people you can listen to the service in Navajo or English. Because we've got somebody who's speaking in Navajo, and we can broadcast that person, and maybe it's just going to be an audio feed of the person in Navajo. But a lot of people on the reservation wouldn't be able to have the Wi-Fi, have video anyway, but they could maybe call in with a cell phone and listen in like on a teleconference kind of thing. But the great thing would be for our people who come in, for Navajo speakers, they could enjoy the entire service. And I believe that we would get more people coming than even the wonderful people that we've been having the last several weeks, if that was accessible to them in Navajo.
I had this conversation with Joe, and maybe you could speak to that, because you've had some experience with this.
Well, let me begin by saying, if there was a way to do this and it would and more people would tune in or come, that's fabulous. That's fantastic. And I'm not opposed. I certainly personally don't think I'm not saying don't do it or don't try to do it. I will tell you, we've had very mixed and almost exclusively negative reactions to our Spanish speakers, and we've tried the headsets. And I will tell you, while you can, you might have someone who is bilingual, you have to find someone who's bilingual and is capable to listen and to speak. Okay, and very few people really can do that well.
Brother Joe, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I deal with those kinds of people all the time. Do you know how many Navajo translators I do that do court translations and do it on the fly? I mean, one of my close friends is a certified federal court translator.
Yeah, no, there are people who can do it. I know there are definitely people who can do it, but what I'm saying is not everybody can do it just because they're bilingual.
I understand.
Yeah. So if you could find the right person, it could work. I mean, we had a couple people try it at our branch, and they would just threw up their hands and they said, I can't handle it. I hate it. Yeah. So
I wouldn't have a number of our branch do it.
Okay.
Or even somebody attending. What I would suggest is that we set aside a little bit of money every week. I mean, I've got a Navajo translator who's the best I've ever worked with, who comes and she charges like $45 an hour. All right, well, that's a little bit of expense. And maybe we try it for a little bit and we decide it doesn't work. But let me tell you, this lady's the best. And she doesn't cost very much.
I'm all for you trying it. I just want to tell you, there can be hiccups. And I'll just mention, when we had the headsets, some of our members said, our Spanish speakers said they felt funny that they had to have headsets and other people didn't have to have headsets. And they felt that it was an embarrassment to them. I know other places in the church, the opposite reaction, they're fine with it. So I'm just telling you now, this may work, it may not work. I think you should try it. Depending on the cost, I think you should try it. But I will tell you, we've had some problems. And I have no idea what the headsets now cost. We haven't done it in years, but if it's not too much, go for it. It would be one, if it works, amen, amen. And like you said, people listening who are not present, that might be fantastic right there. Obviously, your outreach has just gone out to the whole community.
Yeah. That to me, I think is a big plus, is being able to advertise you
That's
can
right.
in English or Navajo.
Amen.
Well, Joe, you know anybody that's got a system they're not using?
Fort Worth. But, I tell you, I don't even know if I can find. Mike, you know where it is in the garage, in the house, in the shed?
I don't, do we still
I've
have,
never, yeah, I've never seen it. Might be out there. Modesto might have one, truthfully. We used it in Modesto and I don't think they currently use it.
I mean, you
I
could
don't know how
ask
old it
around.
is.
Yeah, you could ask around. I think we inherited ours actually from Jim Huttenberger in California. So ours is
we
older.
did, we did.
Ours is 20 years old.
Mine went with Sony Betamax tape going forward. So I think they'll-
But again, advertising that it's, I mean, there's no question. If you can say that your church has bilingual or Navajo translation, what a plus. I mean, you know, when we do our missionary work here, we're always asked, is it in Spanish? Is there Spanish speakers? And if it's not, that's a, you know, that's dead end. The conversation's over. And for many people.
there's also I've noticed in Spanish, they may know Spanish, but they may not know the religious words. They may not know biblical or Book of Mormon, and they struggle with translating those specific words because they don't use them every day. So there's hesitancy sometimes for Spanish people that don't really know the language to even do it.
But I would try. David, the advantages and the positives potentially are so great. I think you should try.
You know, so David, you technically, I guess you could post your video with the English, but you can also post the video with the Navajo and every week post 2 videos with everything. That'd be
Right,
amazing.
right.
Yeah, I got goosebumps on the back of my neck. That would be amazing.
And there could be a delay too. There could be a delay. Someone goes back and looks at the meeting and then translates it, and it goes out at 2 hours later or something like that.
I like it. I like it. I don't know how to do it though. Can't help you.
I think I do.
Yeah, all right.
But we can still proceed with the video conferencing system as far as the equipment and work out the details later of the other, because there is a way to at least provide some part of the meeting in Navajo. I did speak to them about that, and there are some things that we can do initially and then phase into this and see, how it works out.
So is the audio visual, I'm just thinking what we have in Fort Worth. So is the plan to purchase like a camera, speakers, microphones, cabling, laptop, and kind of integrate all that together?
Yes,
And then hook that into the internet and
yes,
then budget so much per month for internet? Yes, okay.
yes.
And a television that's big
Yeah, and
enough.
it's right.
In the event that we have someone remote who's maybe helping with a class or whatever. So it's going to be interactive. We want to have something interactive that adds some versatility as far as what we can do with and adds just functionality to it.
Yeah, Sister Linda
I was just,
Sorry,
and
David?
that was approved at the business meeting a few months ago. So that was approved by the branch or by the group a few months ago to purchase those items.
Right.
And what do you, the good news is these prices don't go up so much like wood. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. I think TVs still look pretty cheap. What might the budget be for this? If I'm asked by somebody.
I think the numbers that came in from Micah were approximately $2,000.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But
Wow.
if we're gonna get one of those TVs that's big enough for people to see far enough back, that's gonna go up.
Yeah.
But we do have some funds that came in just recently. And the person, the donor said we could use it however, you know, whatever the need is in the mission.
Well, so my thought is legal fees.
Legal fees?
Yeah. You don't think we should spend the money on legal fees?
Got somebody in mind?
Sorry, it's a rule of thumb. You should never say spend the money however you want in front of a lawyer. It's just kind of a rule. Okay, I'll follow up on this for next time. On this and the shed. I don't know that there's that much more we can achieve on that today. I'm gonna, unless somebody else has got something else on it, I want to move to the church sign. I saw Sister Darlene sent an email around with signs.
Well, actually, that came from Sister Donna. She was the point person who did all the legwork. But I wanted to make sure you had it. So I resent it to you, David, because I wasn't sure you had it in front of you.
Yeah, I did not. Thank you.
Sister Donna, she's the point person. I'll let her talk.
Okay,
We
now,
actually got very few responses from the people that we sent it out to. And then one of the vendors we sent it to sent us photographs, but no cost. So that wasn't helpful. And we did recontact that person as well. So I don't think there's been a decision made specifically on which design.
well, the one with the biggest crucifix is reaching out to me right now.
Don't go down that road. It won't end well.
What, you guys?
Follow up to that. The person, the sign company in the Phoenix area, we haven't gotten, they didn't send a quote yet for that. They sent some potential designs, but no quote. The one in Farmington, the guy actually came out and talked to me and my wife, and he seemed to be very knowledgeable, very helpful. He's fairly local. Of all the companies that we've had contact with, that's probably the most promising at this point. And if we do go with them, we would have to select a design. And there was one, I think, feedback from a couple of people on which design to go with from that particular company. The name of the company is Fast Signs, and it is a franchise. There's several of those companies throughout the Southwest.
So that's not what we're looking at in the email I just got from Sister Darlene. Is that,
Let me see if I can give you the other one, or Sister Donna, if you could
I'm
pull it
looking
up.
at Mountain State Specialties from Phoenix.
Yeah, that might be, is that the older one, Brother Brother Larry? I
Yeah,
have,
that's
a-
the one. Yet, they never sent us a quote. Am I right, Donna?
No
Unless you
quote.
got,
They had
yeah,
three,
got a price.
they had 3 examples. I texted and called, and I asked them to respond to Larry specifically and to please add a quote if they wanted to be considered, because without it, we could do nothing.
I'm sending you right now, David, the one from Fast Signs.
So we've gotten information from 3 companies. 2 of them we received quotes with the design. 1 we did not. The 2 that we received quotes with it are Fast Signs and Stewart Signs. Stewart Signs is headquartered in Florida. They are the largest sign company in the nation that in particular focuses on church signs. Fast Signs does not focus on church signs. It's just they run the gamut, which, you know, is fine. I mean, you know, one sign is as good as the other, but at any rate, I just wanted to throw that in there. So Fast Signs, you saw, you did get that quote, or the design, excuse me.
Gosh, but Larry, the quote, what you just sent out, because I didn't see what you just sent, is it the one that you sent me, again, 1.5 years ago? Or is it, are they been updated? Because I'm thinking, again, with the world we're in right now, have prices jumped again? But is it an old bid or is it relatively recent bid?
It's old. It's
Okay.
like you said, it's about 9
This
months
one?
ago,
This one here.
August,
This one here.
August of 2020,
Okay.
which is,
This one?
yeah, Fast Signs. That's what it says, I think.
Really?
August, oh, wait a minute, April.
I was gonna say, it was
Oh,
just.
no, that can't be.
It could be. 'Cause I want to say it's been 1 year since you first sent me some bids.
No, this was a couple months ago.
Okay,
Well,
That's the one.
okay,
I-
so maybe it's a couple of months.
Yeah.
okay, good to hear. Okay.
And there was 2 different types of signs. There's the LED sign, and then there's the other, the non-LED. The LED is the one that is, it's digital. It's has the internal lighting, and you can operate the lettering by way of a computer laptop, a laptop. However, he did say that those LED signs do require a fair amount of maintenance. He said that in the Farmington area, there's several that are down, and they don't have a lot of, some of the companies do not maintain them very regularly. So he just said, you need to keep that in mind, that is an issue. It's also more expensive, but where we're located, it would be expensive to get regular maintenance. Now, I imagine we could get some kind of a contract, but it's just so far, you know, removed. And then with the wind and everything, it's kind of difficult. However, we could get the other kind of sign, and then that wouldn't be an issue. So just so you know.
So what do we need to push this forward?
To agree on a sign, I would imagine, at least the trustees getting together and, or picking a couple options
And then,
of the signs,
and then submitting it to the branch, right?
Yeah.
right?
For a
It would-
final approval. Oh,
Yeah, and it would need, because assuming that we're talking about the numbers that I last saw, it would require a special vote because the numbers are so high. If we're looking again at, what's the rule now, over 10,000 or 15,000? If you're talking about numbers like that, you may need then a special vote from your group.
I thought
Mike or Tim, what's the number now for a special vote? How high does it have to get?
Special meeting,
Yeah, special meeting.
it's over 15,000.
Right. So if the sign you're looking at is over that, then it will require more than just the vote of your group. It's going to require all the requirements of over 50% of your membership is there and all those sorts of things.
the LED is very expensive, but the other
Yeah.
one between 8 and 10,000.
Well,
So it'll
that's,
depend which one the trustees pick.
I'm seeing, and, I'm looking at the new one that Sister Darlene just sent me. Faces only 12.5, faces only with marquee tracks 13.5, faces with digital sign add 6 to 7,000. Am I looking at the wrong thing?
No, you're looking at the right one, David.
I was thinking of the ones that are between 2,800 to 6,000.
Well, I'm not seeing those. The one from Mountain States didn't seem to have any prices, and the one that I just got from Fast Signs is the 12.5, 13.5, and add 6 to 7,000 if you're gonna do digital.
I'm going to send you the Stewart Signs one right now.
What's the ones that are 28? I thought those are,
The 28 to 6,000.
right.
Yeah, there were the monument signs. If you look at that, David, you'll see at the bottom where it says 2,800 to 6,600. That was the price on the monument signs.
That's what I thought we were talking about.
I don't think it's going to require, unless it really has gone up. If we get a monument sign, it probably isn't going to require that special meeting, because I don't think it'll go over 15.
All right, so this one I'm looking at, this is Stewart Signs. This is 8,604.
I don't.
Right.
But that's
There
quote.
was,
That's a quote from 2019. That may not be a good quote.
right. Yeah. That one's older.
And this,
There was 3 different signs.
the 8604 doesn't really have a design for the sign. So, I mean, what are we talking about for that? Is that like a monument sign with no ability to put a message on it?
Right. But it did. They showed the lettering on it.
Meaning you could put a message on it.
Yeah,
Well, are you talking about a message that's changeable?
Yes,
Or
that's
just-
what I'm talking about.
Those- no.
No, this is just a standard monument sign, the name of the church and maybe the hours or something like that.
When Joel Gailey was here, he talked about, he was wondering about whether we would want to get some messaging underneath the church logo. You know, we have the branded lettering, and then whether we would want to have something underneath that would help people to understand that we're not LDS. You know, you could have headquarters Pennsylvania or something. I don't know, but that type of thing. Obviously, Monongahela would mean nothing to them.
It takes up a lot of
Let's
space.
say what we mean. We ain't Mormons.
Yeah, right to the point.
Okay, because I feel like we've been kind of stuck on the sign issue for a while, and that we kind of just need to make a decision and move on it. I personally, and just speaking for myself, I'm more interested in moving forward on the sign than I am in any particular design.
Well, and is it really about the design or is it also about the features? Like, how important is it for you that it's lit from behind, or is a front floodlight okay? Do you want it changeable? Is it okay if it's a permanent etched in? I mean, it's kind of, you've got to figure out what your non-negotiables are. What are the must-haves for this sign, and then go from there.
Well, and that I think that is an issue, Sister Darlene. You're right. To me, I think you gotta ask yourself, what's the sign doing? If the
What's the
sign
purpose? Yeah.
if the sign is just advertising the name of the church, we already have the name of the church on the side of the building. So, I mean, yeah, the sign's going to be a little easier to see than the sign on the side of the church. But I always thought that one of the purposes of the sign was so you could put something like VBS tonight, 7 p.m.
Right.
like that on it. Because we really have one of the best locations on the Navajo Nation. 264, Highway 264 is one of the most busy thoroughfares on the reservation. It's like Main Street, USA in another town. But we don't really make much use of it. We just don't. So, I mean, now speaking just for myself, I've always felt that putting the ability to have movable lettering of some sort is important to me.
For my 2 cents, I totally agree. And in fact, again, I started this conversation with Larry a year ago. I think it's critical that in my opinion, that their new sign would be anyone driving on 264 would notice the church. And again, the signs, the messages, or it would be displayed in such a way that people would absolutely see it and it wouldn't just blend into the background, the surroundings. So I don't know how much that's going to cost. Now, obviously the trustees have to pick the sign they want to go with, but I would highly personally encourage you to make a statement or something that at least occasionally makes a statement that people say something's going on. Like you said, this weekend, this week, something's happening tonight at that building.
Just a side note, I had to get the monument sign, so to speak, or I was assigned that task as a trustee for our branch, because we are also off a road that I thought could be highly visible. And we were frustrated with this as well, Brother David, because it is important. We have a lot of events. How do we advertise those events? And so when I met with monument sign people, the problem they said is we particularly were in a bad area, that many of the monument signs that are changeable, that you have a hinged, like a plexiglass, that you could change the lettering. He's like, yours isn't going to last at all. You're going to get rocks thrown at it. You're going to have people break it. It's a fairly flimsy lock. He said, you might want to just go with what we had, which is we actually just had a re-etched stone put in the cornerstone of our building, took out the old one for the Methodist Church and put our logo in there. And then what we do now is we just hang banners up. It's not as effective, but we hang banners up every time there's a VBS or a food pantry or whatever. There is an option though, is there's just a monument sign that simply has the name of the church and the times. Oh, okay. That's pretty much etched in stone or brick. But then you can have these posts that they have that you pop in and you have changeable permanent signage that you put in on top, almost like a painted sign that would say VBS, next week, or picnic this Saturday. And those would simply be popped in or popped out, but they wouldn't actually make you have to open up a door and put those lettering in. The maintenance on that and the breakage is very high on those signs. That's why we were discouraged from getting it. Just throwing that out there. So that's why I do like the LED signs, but those, you're talking big bucks.
Right.
But those are nice because they're catchy and you can have, you know, a piece of scripture flash or something that would really catch somebody's eye when they're driving by. I've been on that road many times, so especially at night. Boy, you would like something that could catch people's eye. So if we could spend more and that's worth it to you as a congregation, maybe we do look at that. It's money well invested if it brings people in.
Well, we're not a residential neighborhood or even like an urban neighborhood. You know, most people who drive, who will see the sign driving at 55 miles an hour or faster. You know, we don't get a lot of walkers in the area that are
No.
kinds of people who are going to be throwing rocks at the sign. I'm a little less concerned about that. Visibility is a bit of an issue because people speed by. So if it's little, there's almost no point in doing it at all because, you know, there's only so much you can see when you're driving by at 65 miles an
Right.
hour. So, you know, I guess again, my question is, what is the purpose? If the purpose is simply to advertise the name of the sign and the name of the church and our meeting times, I think we can do that relatively inexpensively, and let's just do it. And then we can put up a big, you know, posters or something separately when we have an event. If our hope is to have something that people can see what's coming, Mother's Day breakfast, 9:30 a.m. Sunday, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
The letters have to be reasonably large. And you know, it has to be at reasonably high off the ground because, you know, it sinks down off of the highway. So if it's not a certain level over the highway, again, they're not going to be able to see it. The people who just kick our butts on this, we've got a Russian church across the street. Man, these people fine.
Yeah.
They're not very
I've seen
professional looking. You know, I mean, it's not, you know, they're not hiring, you know, fast signs in Farmington. They're slapping together some paint and some plywood and putting it on a couple posts. But see them and you read them, and I know more of what's going on in their church than I do my own.
I've noticed it.
Church always telling me what's going on. So, you know, I don't know.
They have a real good system there. They pay people to come to church.
Do they?
Yeah, they pay them to come to church. They give them like money for gas or, you know, stuff like that.
Well, again,
But at any rate, I think, I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, I mean, it's not that I want the group to spend $20,000, but I think a reasonable option, again, but the trustees have to decide, is again a simple sign. But I would highly encourage, if you're going to go with a simple sign, start using temporary signage like you've never used it before, banners and things. If there's a Mother's Day, you have a Mother's Day every year. You know, produce a Mother's Day sign, a VBS sign. So on a regular basis, something large is seen for those drivers speeding by there. Because you're right, I think that's your best chance of getting visitors that you haven't spoken to, right? That's your best opportunity. So I think you really do have a great location in that sense. I think that it would be great if the group took advantage of that by a permanent sign or temporary signage that is revolving on a somewhat regular basis.
I mean, even just a large, just a permanent monument sign with the name of the church and the times, but then have a fairly large brick, just plain brick at the bottom of it that you can put across banners that you get different colors for. You have the same VBS banner every year. You have the same Mother's Day banner every year, and you roll them up and you keep them in storage and just roll them out. You're going to invest in those vinyl banners, but that's okay. So if you have 10 or a dozen of them, that's fine. It'll still be a fraction of the cost of the LED.
You'll put them in your new shed.
There you go. They just need to be against something flat because banners can really, in that wind there, that spot, the banners can be decimated if they're flapping around. It needs to be against something solid. And just putting on posts would not, they wouldn't hold up very long.
If we
Uh,
get the if we get the monument signs, it would have the lettering on both sides. And you'd need to get lighting. Now, there's different kinds of lighting. You can actually get interior lighting for those monument signs. Or you can get lighting that's like a floodlight on both sides. And there's a spot up there where it's actually there's a high point that is visible, and where the tree, that big tree, does not obstruct it.
mm,
Right now, the tree obstructs the sign to a great degree. The
It
sign
does.
is big. Yeah.
And a
So-
question has come in on the chat, and I guess I'm related to what you're saying. How close, I'm just curious, how close to the street does your property go? How close could the sign go to the street? Is that the place you're talking about, Larry?
Yeah, there's if you go to the far northwest corner of the property, it's on the other side of the channel. There's a channel that goes underneath the highway, and it's a flood channel. On the other side of that, when I say on the other side, I mean on the west side of that. That's the high point. And we used to have a sign there, and it was quite high. It was on top of a huge platform that was built by some local Navajos. He did a wonderful job of that. But it was ruined because we had a bad flood and the channel wasn't very good.
Okay. How close does the church property line get to the road? Is it ever like right up against it anywhere? No.
No,
Okay.
there's an easement there. Yeah, I think it's maybe about 10 feet at least
Okay.
to the edge of the road.
Thank you.
All right, so let's wrap this discussion up because it's starting to get late. I'll be honest, I've looked at all the proposals Sister Darlene sent me, and I find them a little more confusing than helpful. Is there a sign that is reasonably priced and would allow some ability to put temporary lettering on it to advertise some sort of event?
I don't know. You mean rather than the LED sign?
Well, I would personally like to avoid the LED sign because of the expense and the maintenance of it. I'm thinking those sliding letters are a little bit of a pain to put on, but it may be more economical.
You can check. I don't know.
All right. Brother JD, I'm wondering if you had anything you wanted to add on this before we moved on. I wanted to see if we could get everybody's input on this.
Well, I'm gonna have to review the proposals that have been sent over and see which sign would work the best for our situation.
That's fair. That's fair. All right.
I mean, ideally, the thing that attracts my attention is little tents on the side of the road, 3 or 4 tents. And I always look over and say, hey, what's going on over there? I think banners are a good idea because they are reusable. They are cost effective, but as stated, they do need to be mounted solidly to a building or something that is not going to be torn up by the wind out there.
Something, Brother JD, makes me think of this. Something I've thought of in the past, and maybe this is an alternative. We could have like a monument sign with permanent name and meeting times. and then have like two like large poles that are permanently cemented into the ground. And if we don't have anything going on, there's just two poles there. But when you got something going on, then you get like a nice big banner, and you stretch the banner between the two cemented poles, and the poles are cemented so deeply they're not going anywhere. And then you know, when you got something, you put the banner up on the poles, and then when you're done, you take it down. I mean, is that an alternative to this, or do we think that that's not going to look nice?
Well, they do have banners that you can actually span from pole to pole with the cables that run through the top and bottom of them to stabilize them. And I think a big banner right across the driveway where people, they can see it before they actually hit the driveway and still have time to turn in. Whereas at 55 mile an hour, if you're seeing the church sign by the building, and I know a lot of the Native Americans, you know, once they pass something, they're past it. They're not going to make an effort to turn around. So that was just my thought.
I think in the past we've specialized in obscure signs.
And then two, you were talking about the conferencing equipment, you know, have some signs printed up in Navajo. A lot of the older folks do
I like that.
recognize, and they say, oh, these people are with it, you know?
Amen.
I like
Beautiful.
that.
Yes,
Yes, that's great.
yes.
Other than this one problem, and that is there's no person alive that reads Navajo and does not also read English.
Oh, really?
Well, Navajo wasn't a written language. The written language
Right.
of Navajo was developed by anthropologists so that they could read English, so that they could read Navajo and they could write it down. And you know, so really there's nobody alive that I know of that can only read Navajo. That's why it's so funny when they always translate all this voter information into written Navajo.
It just, to me, it shows that we go the extra mile. We want the people that are more traditional in our
I think it shows
presence.
respect.
No,
like it.
I'm with you on this. I didn't mean to tear down your idea because I love it. I think that's a great idea. I do. In fact, I like that idea so much that's become my new favorite idea is to have that in Navajo.
I think the
Love
old
it.
traditions that the people are following would attract more people to our church, you know? There are a lot of very spiritual, traditional Navajo people out there, and we just have to find a way of reaching them.
Great idea.
Again,
But
though, I
again-
think, though, that speaks though for more of like a banner system, because putting Navajo into like a sign with sliding letters is tricky because there's some special Navajo characters you'd have to get, like the L with the slash and you know things like that, and that with the sliding
Well-
letters, that might get really complicated. But with a banner that you stretch between two permanent poles.
All right, you can buy a plain white vinyl
Right.
banner and have it painted
Right.
by somebody who speaks the language and knows the terminology or the special characters. Just have to be careful that you don't run out of room.
Right.
Well,
This
you're
banner,
not
if
gonna be
you're
able to
talking
say
about
a
having
lot.
a no, but we'd have to figure out what we want to say to make it attractive.
Right.
And having it stretched across the driveway, you know, where people can drive under it, coming into our driveway. I mean, you're going to see that for miles. As you're coming down the hill, if you're coming back from Gallup, you're going to see a big banner flapping in the wind or, you know, waving. People are going to keep their eye on it right up to the point that they either turn in or pass it.
Again, I love what Aaron's saying. The idea of I think it's really important to have flexibility here to be able to change messages that's large enough for people to see driving by, and gives you flexibility to have either language or both languages, having, you know, one sign above the other, one banner above another one. So I love the idea of a a modest per se traditional sign, but the flexibility, like we said, Brother David, the way you suggested, or some other version where you can securely mount changing banners on a regular basis whenever needed. And I love doing it in both languages. I think that would be terrific. And it would definitely, especially when a building hasn't had it in a while, people don't even notice it anymore. They just go by. When you put that up, everyone driving by say, wait, well, look what's going on in that branch. What's going on in that
Right.
church? Something's
Absolutely.
happening there. They're investing, and look at these signs. This is great. It's going to be, I think it'll be a beautiful thing and increase the chance of somebody visiting tremendously.
Okay. We need to move on. As much as I'm enjoying this conversation, we've already lost Brother Mike and Brother Tim, and we're going to lose some others if we don't push it forward. So we're going to have to take the all the different input and try and put that together in some format that's usable, so we can get a proposal to everybody for next time. I don't know what else to do on that. So mini park and landscaping under buildings and grounds and maintenance cleaning.
What I would recommend, David, on these items, we can move through them very quickly and come back to them at a later meeting. But as far as mini park and landscaping, I just wanted to kind of report that we've lost at least 2 of the trees. They died over the winter, and a couple of others are in bad shape. So we may have to replace those trees. We can revisit this, and we're probably going to need to. It's hard to keep up with the water, so we're probably going to need to look at some kind of a system for making it easier to do the watering. As it stands now, I've had to do most of the watering myself, and and when we were gone, the person that was supposed to do the watering didn't follow through. So that's part of the reason why we lost some trees. So, this is something we're going to have to do something about. As far as the church cleaning schedule, we can kind of take that offline, but I am looking at hiring someone to do that. The parking lot addition, this is actually being worked on now. It's about 90% complete, and it's we're getting the gravel on it now. We got it done very inexpensively, and then the greenhouse and the garden. That's something we're probably going to have to, but that's just kind of running through quickly, and you can kind of pick up where you want to.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to contribute on any of those items? All right, Ed, can you unmute for a minute? Are you there? I think Mom may be at Ed's. That's why I'm asking him.
Yeah, she's here.
Okay,
I'm here, David.
okay, so we've got a quorum now. So, Mom, 2 issues that we actually took votes on that we need to ratify with the quorum present is I volunteered you to be secretary with assistance of Sister Donna in preparing minutes. That was, of course, subject to your approval. And then I was sort of elected to be chair with not everybody present. Turns out we have to have 4 trustees actually present, and we now have 4 trustees. So what say ye on those two items?
Well, I'll be happy to assist Donna. She's done a good job with the minutes, but we would have to have some kind of boundary as to who does what when. So, no, I don't know what to say exactly. Has Donna agreed to it?
Yes, she did. Or at
Then,
least she did for tonight. Maybe I'm speaking for her out of turn.
Yeah, I think she came on actually later than our conversation. So maybe you want to explain to her the situation. Yeah.
all right, I can talk to her. I'm going to spend some time with her on Thursday. So that's fine then, I guess.
But can I just, well, we mentioned Sister Donna's been doing a fantastic job.
That's what I'm saying. She's doing a good job, and if she's not able to,
No,
I'll do it.
The issue that came up was technically she has to be a member of the branch.
Oh,
And,
I see.
and because, but we know she's doing a great job. If she's willing to continue doing the job, she would be the secretary in practice, but you would be officially the secretary who signs forms.
I see. I get
Should be
you.
the figurehead. We got it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'll agree to do that. We've been working together since we were kids. So,
All right, and here's the one that I predicted would go down to the wire. How do you feel about me being chair?
all right, I if you want to.
I'm fine with it. All right.
Okay.
So-
I have one other thing to say. And this is something that we can kind of think about. Delane and Erna cleaned the church this past weekend through their own desire to help. Delane is really someone you can count on to clean and to take responsibility if you give it to him. I was going to suggest that we might think about hiring him so that he's there consistently when you want him to be.
Let me follow up with that, David. They're the ones that I actually hired to do the cleaning last time, and I talked to them, and they're willing to do it on a regular basis. And the question that's going to come up is how often. At this point, they would be doing it every week. And I thought we might only need it every 2 weeks at some point, but it's been a little irregular. But we finally found someone that I think is going to be consistent. The people that we've had before, there were some problems. So at any rate, they're willing to do it. And Harrison, Erna, and Delane did it together, and they did a good job.
Well, I was just going to say, and again, for further thought, Delane is a big, strong young man who really doesn't have a lot to do with his life right now. And I think it would be something that he could feel a commitment to. And he knows when you tell him that this is what I want you to do and give him the schedule. I mean, I'm just making that suggestion. So anyway, he could go with his parents, but I think it would be good for him to make some kind of commitment, like every 2 weeks or whatever, and go over all the things he needs to do. We did that for Bible school, and he was really good at this is what we need to serve. This is how we need to serve it. And it gives him a reason to come to church too. He loves coming to church, but it's important for him to feel like there's something for him to do. Anyway, that's just my contribution.
Maybe he could do the watering. I think that's good. I was thinking of him too, Elaine. I think Delane is really a big solution to some of our problems.
I agree. David, go ahead.
Delane's a great worker. He just can't transport himself. He needs to have his parents support him to get him there. But once you point him in a direction, he's a great worker.
And he's strong.
Oh, yeah.
He's helped me move things at the house, and he does it very carefully. And if he's in over his head, his dad comes and helps him.
So is
So-
paying somebody to clean something that actually needs to be acted on by trustees, or is that something we can just give authority to the presiding elder to do at his discretion?
It does not have to be trustees. It could be, again, the presiding elder or the group, if the majority wants to do it. Yeah, I mean, normally I think you would vote on that at an annual business meeting, but this has not been a normal year. And so do whatever I'm looking the other way. Okay, do whatever you think you want to do. I'm okay. Okay. Yeah, I just, now that we have the regional and the general church trustees off the off the Zoom meeting, which again, I'm just trying to tell you, I know there's some things in the radar, and they're watching to see if there's been votes on things, and that's why I kept bringing up those items. So just so you know, we have to show that they've been approved by the group. So again, depending on the amount you're talking about, it could just be done by your resident elder, Brother Larry, or you might just want to run it by the group just to make sure everybody's okay with it. The majority's okay with it. It doesn't have to be a big vote.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm in favor of delegating that to Brother Larry and giving him the discretion to do it as he sees fit. Uncle Larry, was there anything else you had a burning desire to have addressed tonight?
I think it's getting late, and I think we should go ahead and adjourn. We've covered a lot of ground. Setting up a follow-up meeting to discuss the sign. So
Well,
we can
here's
get
my
some closure on the sign.
Here's my proposal, Uncle Larry. Why don't you and I plan on trying to have a weekly meeting on Saturdays, like we've been doing on some of these other issues that we've been talking about, like, food and stuff, and just kind of keeping up with each other on pushing some of these things along. And then in a month, we'll try and reconvene the group here and kind of report on our progress. Okay? That way,
Fine with me.
that way the responsibility is not falling on you all the time, and we're kind of holding each other accountable to move some of these items forward.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Any other thoughts for the good of the order, for the benefit of the group? Okay. All right. Well, then let's, why don't we close in prayer? Brother Ed, if you're on the line, would you close us in prayer?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time to meet, and we just look for your guidance, Lord. Look to you for all things and pray that you'll have your hand in this matter. Help us to make decisions on this sign that'll just bring more people to this church and watch it grow in front of all of us. It's been so many years, and it'll be amazing to just watch it blossom, and we just look forward to that. And we also look for you to help us with all the different positions that are taking place here in San Benito. We got a lot going on. We've got a new computer system we're trying to get going. We just pray that we can make that effective and just very pleasant for everybody to be able to witness the different services going on. We pray for all of our family and friends this time. We have so many that are sick and afflicted and searching for jobs, and there's just so much despair, Lord. And we just pray that you will be with those families and just to comfort them and to help them rise up. We ask that you dismiss us with your blessing, and have us go throughout the rest of this week, and always look to you for all answers, and try to spread your loving and kind ways. This we pray, Lord, in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen. And you get a little rosy as a background noise. Sorry.
Okay. Good night, everybody. God bless you all.
Good night.
Everybody, thank
Chosen
you.
episode 5 tonight.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for loving our branch enough to contribute the way you do.
We
Yeah.
do
Amen.
love you all. We love that place and we're looking forward to, we'll be seeing you. I don't know if you know, we'll be seeing you in about a month.
Great.
So I can't
look
wait to see
forward
you
to
there in
it.
person. God bless you.
God
Good
bless
night,
you.
everyone.
Take care.
Right.
Bye, Donna.